Welcome to Geography 2700. This is the first lecture file which deals with chapters 1 and 2 of the textbook, which lay out a basic framework for geospatial analysis and concepts that will be important in the course, as well as reviewing over some of the important concepts related to geospatial technology. So first of all, the concept of spatial analysis. Your book talks about a simple definition of spatial analysis, which is essentially this. It's a set of analysis techniques that can be applied to data which is spatially referenced. That is, that it's placed on at least a two-dimensional coordinate system. We can use spatial analysis for both two-dimensional and three-dimensional data, but at a minimum, the data has to be spatially referenced, and you're aware from Geography 1700 already what that means. That we have to use spatial data in order to do spatial analysis. Well, the basic definition and the discussion initially in the textbook doesn't say much about the practical meaning and the practical experience of actually doing and using spatial analysis, so we'll handle the question of why it's used first. Well, the basic reason we do anything when we turn to methods of analysis is because the methods apply to helping us solve problems. And in this case, spatial analysis has lots of applications for problems that typically can be approached from a spatial perspective. We know that by using a spatial perspective, we can assist with planning, management, and efficiency, and that there can be a net result that benefits people in a very direct way, such as improving safety and making predictions about cause and effect relationships. Hopefully then, our political thinkers are smart enough to actually integrate those predictions into their thinking about policy. There are lots of other ways that spatial analysis and geospatial technologies apply to applications in society, and we'll see what many of those are as we go through this course. This is just a reminder of some of the main industries that make use of spatial analysis and geospatial technologies. These organizations benefit from spatial analysis and capabilities in multiple ways, and I would refer you to the ESRI website under the Industries category, which gets into some of the details about how these technologies are used and who would use them. This is very relevant information for the course, relevant for your thinking about GIS as you continue on to take more courses of it and then maybe work in the field, and also directly for this class in order to do things like participate in the discussion forum and think about your project that you'll be doing in this course. Well, we have a lot of different industries shown on this diagram, and I won't get into detail about each one, but we basically can see that there are all kinds of applications: aid and development, business, defense and intelligence, education, government, health and human services, mapping and charting, natural resources, public safety, transportation, and utilities and communications. And in each case, we can come up with tangible benefits of looking at the world from a spatial perspective and integrating these technologies into our use of this data. So this leads us to another question, which is simply this: GIS, what's that? You've probably all heard of that at some point when you've made the mistake of attempting to tell your friends what it is that or your relatives, what it is that you're doing in college. Well, even though geospatial technology is everywhere, people use it every day, it's used on us every day, there are lots of things at issue here related to how geospatial technology has become a revolutionary force in society, and spatial data itself has become a source of revolutionary fuel in many ways, that people just simply aren't aware of what it is. So reflect a bit on the concept here and how GIS is used in society and why it is that most people don't know more about GIS. And one of the things that can be done about this is to reflect and think about how geospatial technology and spatial data relates to us as people. And so we'll be doing a bit of that during the class, and that's a context that's important for you as you work on your discussion forums and you do various tasks this semester. In general, the thing reminds me of the David Foster Wallace joke, which goes like this: Two young fish are swimming in the water one day, and they're met by an older fish swimming upstream. As he comes along and meets them, he says, "Hey boys, how's the water?" One fish turns to the other and says, "What the hell is water?" What this joke tells us is that in many ways we're swimming in a reality around us without often thinking about it. And this applies to GIS because people use it every day and it influences their lives every day and they're totally unaware of its existence. Important thing to think about as you move on through the course and through this lecture is that we'll be getting into different topics on GIS. There's a lot of material in the first chapter that you need to take a look at, including some very useful tools like a table of selected terminology. This is a great way to have shortcut definition information as you're going through the book and you encounter terms and you want a reminder of how to define them or how they're used in GIS. So that's pages 29 through 35 in the textbook in chapter 1. And then as we get into the next section, beyond that, there's a section on notation, so pages 37, 38, and this gives you some good examples of notations that you'll see used in GIS in multiple ways. And then various other terms and so on that are important as you start to do spatial analysis. They're a great reference to have. In the next section, then we'll be talking a bit more in detail about the so-called primitives that form GIS in terms of spatial analysis and the conceptual frameworks that relate to spatial analysis, and we'll get into that in the next set of lecture notes.